The brain, the gut, the heart, and the nervous system are being shown to be the predictors of our health. If having real health is of interest to you, please listen to learn more, and welcome to the Brain-Gut Connection podcast. Your host, Dave Bredhauer, will guide you through how everything inside us is connected, from our brain to our heart to our gut, how they all communicate, and how important your immune system is to this entire process. The Brain-Gut Connection podcast. Let us get right into today's episode.
In this episode, we're thrilled to welcome Emily Hawkins, the visionary behind LeaderSHIFT and a seasoned business efficiency expert. With over 15 years in the corporate world, Emily has led teams, streamlined processes, and saved millions for large organizations. Today, she dedicates her expertise to helping small businesses thrive by implementing innovative strategies that drive growth and sustainability. As a leader who understands the importance of a holistic approach, Emily's insights extend beyond traditional business tactics to include the critical connection between mental well-being and business success, a connection influenced by the gut-brain axis. Join us as we explore how optimizing both your business operations and personal health can lead to lasting success. Welcome, Emily. I'm excited to have you on the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Dave.
More than welcome. So you're unique. Most people on here are health coaches, so you have a different approach. So let's jump into your LeaderSHIFT program. Can you explain what that is? How does that differ from other business coaching programs?
Definitely. So the difference is it's not just some sort of tactic to, have more money in your business. That's wonderful. That's definitely an effect from it, but it's really managing your business from the inside out. And this is what is so different and what I experienced in running my own business and actually managing teams in the corporate world as well, where I started prioritizing my health along with great business practices because the two go hand in hand. And what's really special about LeaderSHIFT is we look at where you are currently in your business, and we look at it from a mental and physical standpoint, along with where you are financially and, creating processes and all of that, because I believe that everything in life is connected. And it's really hard to run a business if you yourself are not in a good mental and physical state. And so we actually look at both sides of the equation because they are so interlinked. And after working with hundreds of businesses, it's really fun as we are on calls to watch these business owners less tired, less stressed. And many of them are actually losing weight. They don't realize it. Just today, I was looking at an old call from a client that I've been working with for a little bit over a year. And he was so much heavier and out of shape. And I just think it's amazing how much when you combine these two, he's also able to golf once a week because we have put so many processes in place. So there's just all these great mental and physical aspects that come into play. And the reason I call it LeaderSHIFT is because it's a small shift. I'm not asking you, okay, Dave, I want you to start working with me. And on Monday morning, you're going to be vegan. I want you to start training for a marathon. I want you to have meetings with your team every single day. Like, it's not these giant things that we all think we should be doing. It's these small, subtle shifts that we make 1 to 2 a week. And then over a 6-month period, you've made these dramatic changes inside of your business, but it doesn't feel like that when you're doing it. It's not a heavy lift. It's just a small shift.
So what I'm hearing is that this is a work-life balance, but different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I accurate there? Because
Yeah.
It sounds like you're helping people achieve a work-life balance, chance to golf more, lose weight. But few programs that I'm aware of that work on the life-work balance thing do much for a person's mental or physical health. It's all about, cutting off of work to get home to spend time with the family and kids, but nothing beyond that. So you guys take it a little bit further than just giving them time to golf.
Well, and this all started for me after I watched two of my bosses hospitalized in the corporate world, and one actually passed away. So after three different giant health scares, if you will, of course, one being really sad, these were mentors. These were people that I looked up to. And when it came to business, they were so giving and so kind as leaders, but they were working way too many hours. They were not delegating enough, and they all ate like garbage. In fact, what I noticed in the corporate world was if you stopped for lunch, this was considered bad. This was considered you weren't dedicated. If you ate healthy, if you went out after work with everyone and everybody's drinking heavily and you're getting, like club soda, it was all looked down upon. So the business world that I came from was littered with all of these bad behaviors that they sort of put on a pedestal as trophies of you're dedicated to what you do. And my thought is, none of that's true. I was actually really good at what I did without those specific things. And actually, when I was in the corporate world, I lost 60 pounds and incorporated exercise and nutrition. And again, like I'm telling you, I did it like small shifts that then led to better business practices because I saw if I made these small shifts and then I focused on these other small shifts, that my creativity was so much more. My energy levels were higher. I was excited about big projects. And so I have to say that the work that I do in LeaderSHIFT is definitely dedicated to Phil Mitchell. That was the boss that passed away, who taught me some of these leadership practices, but I'm taking it a step further with all of the healthcare and just mind care as well.
Are you finding clients receptive to this?
So we don't start with this, right? Just like I said, if I was like, Dave, today I want you to start exercising, I want you to quit drinking and smoking, and, basically I want to extract all the fun from your life. And basically everybody would say no, right?
Sure.
What I've noticed over the years is you really have to give people what they want and then show them what they need.
Sure.
And so the first thing we do is carve out time. So one of the first things that I promise is that I will find 24 man hours in your week that are currently not being used properly. And what's interesting is in those 24 hours, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the average American spends 3 to 7 hours a day on their
Oh,
phone.
dude. Oh, okay. On the phone. Okay.
Yeah, on their phone. So, and I bet you can guess that they are not on their Kindle. They're most likely not, on a health app for 3 to 7 hours. It's typically social media.
Yeah.
And what I find is this is a big buffer for people, and it keeps them where they are because all they're doing is comparing themselves. So the first thing we do is look at their consumption on their phone, and they actually have to send me pictures of what they're doing on their phone, that weekly
Right.
piece, just to get that down. What's interesting is when you take out that buffer, because that's exactly what it is, it's a buffer. So if I told you to do something really hard right now, you might have a buffer. It might be to go to exercise. It could be to go eat, shop. We all have buffers, but for a lot of business owners, it's their phone. When I take that away, they're more willing to dive deeper into what's really causing these things. And so they start to see results because we do find 24 hours in their week, sometimes even more, depending on other aspects that we do. Then from there, we start to see results in the business. And so that's when we start introducing these lifestyle changes. So I really like to gain trust first rather than saying, we're going to lose weight and do this thing. Because, you might not lose weight. That's not the point. The point is actually to just live healthier and have a healthier, sustainable business and life at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So in the early 80s, going to date myself here, living in the Detroit area, my training partner and I started executive fitness with the idea that working out was becoming the thing to do. the big three automakers right there in town, we thought we'd have towers full of people. Couldn't find a single one who would embrace it. They were the guys who were in the decision-making suites were all busy with their 2, 3 martini lunches,
Mhm.
steak dinners afterwards, and then, working 80 hours a week. So a bit of ahead of the curve. And I know today we have more people who are focused more on their health. So I'm guessing, I mean, I'm speaking from experience, there's more people who are willing to listen to you today than there were 40 years ago. Uh, so that's a big shift, but I marvel that it's taken this long before people have really started to embrace it. And I shouldn't say this long. I mean, uh, CrossFit and stuff have been around for about 20 years now. Uh, and that's a huge exercise regiment, though. I went CrossFit to train to be a CrossFit gym owner, and there's something called rehibido,
Mm.
where you tax your body to the point where your muscles shut down and you die. And that's like on page 2. Yeah, page 2 of the training manual. And if you ever did CrossFit, they overtrain you from the day one. So it's amazing that more people don't fall over and die. But I digress. So can you share a story of a client who's experienced significant growth by integrating both business efficiencies with well-being?
Most definitely. Most definitely. So one thing I wanted to point out here as well is what you just mentioned, those towers of people. That's the corporate world, right? And what I've noticed is it's a little bit harder to change the corporate mindset of people. And that is why I focus on small business owners,
Okay.
because a small business owner is someone who's already said, I want to do it differently. I want to do it differently. I know there's a better, faster way of whatever their service is, whatever their product is. And these businesses, by the way, are already making money. I don't work with businesses that don't have strong sales because to me, that creates other problems. There's a lot of chasing that happens, a lot of desperation. So businesses that are, thriving, but have sort of capped at some sort of level. And it's typically that the owner is too enmeshed in the business, right? So that's really where I start. And then from there, those people are really excited to learn hack, if you will, something that's different. Um, oh my gosh. I had the most wonderful message come to me this last week that I have to share. I have a client, an HVAC company out in Wyoming. And this gentleman came to me stressed out, working way too many hours. And the business was actually starting to slip through his fingers. And what we found over time was that he was spending too much time in it, not on it, but in it, trying to do all the tasks that people that were inside of his business were actually capable of doing. So letting go of the reins, really pushing that work out to the team, building processes, sticking with those processes, and realizing that running a business should be kind of boring. It really should. And all of a sudden, he had more time. Um, Unfortunately, his wife was diagnosed with cancer at this exact same time. She was actually re-diagnosed because she had been diagnosed before. And when we started working together, one of his fears was that what happened last time would happen this time, if it happened again, if the cancer came back, which is how do I run a business and help my wife, take care of my wife, and take care of my family and all these things. It nearly broke me. So what I'm most excited about is that this guy embraced his health, embraced the processes. If I told him to eat Wheaties, which I don't tell people to do, he would have done it. He was so excited and teachable about, yes, whatever I'm supposed to be doing, I want to do it. He did his homework after each call. Um, and the email that I got this past week just warmed my heart. So his wife was re-diagnosed, unfortunately, but she is currently in remission again, which is wonderful. And the message that I got was that she is in remission, but that he had an aha moment because of everything we had put in place. He was able to actually move states to be with his wife at a specialized hospital for the care that she needed and not be in the business at all. And the business still continued to run. And he was able to have, those daily walks and, really spend time with his family. And it just blows my mind that he sent me this note to say, thank you. Thank you for helping me see this balance. And he actually sold his house because he realized I don't even need to live near my business. And he and his wife are traveling the country currently because they can. And he has his health. He did lose some weight. And then he also, of course, the business is in a much better state than it's ever been. And he's, just talks to his operations manager periodically.
Laptop lifestyle. Yeah, that's cool. So
Mhm.
can you go into explain what role self-care plays in the success of a small business? I mean, you
It's
just gave us an example, but can you delve a little deeper?
Yeah. Okay. So I will give you an example of something that anyone that's listening to this today can do that will change your week. It will change your productivity, your creativity. It is true self-care, and you can do it in about, I would say 9 minutes is really what's optimal for me. And what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and sit in silence for 9 minutes. When you do that, and we will not do that here because that would be like the world's most boring podcast. But when you do that, it is such a beautiful reset for your brain. And we all know that your brain and your gut are connected. So if you are having any sort of gut issues, this will also settle a lot of those things that are happening. It will keep you in tune with your body. One of the things that we have done as a society is we have shut off our internal navigation. We have shut off our ability to listen to that gut feeling to say, I shouldn't be eating that thing. I shouldn't be doing the thing. And when you sit in silence for 9 minutes a day, you're turning it back on. You're allowing that brain gut connection, and you'll actually start feeling more energized. And also, it's going to help you focus more. So, to me, just 9 minutes of silence a day can be absolutely crucial. And if you do want to listen to music, that's totally okay. There are plenty of meditation music channels and things like that. Preferably something that does not have words or singing or anything like that. Just chanting is fine if that's what you're into. Like I doesn't matter at all. But just sitting in silence and letting your mind drift a little bit, it's it's absolutely amazing how much this will reset you. And it will give you better ideas. Like I said, you'll be more creative. And if you're really struggling with something right now, an idea, a problem, go sit in silence for 9 minutes. It will change your life, and it's absolutely free.
I'll play devil's advocate. How long does it take for someone who's never done this to
Mhm.
be 9 minutes?
Oh, that's so interesting. So I started with 3 minutes because
Right.
I was very much like that. I set a timer on my phone, loved the timer on my phone. I did 3 minutes for a couple days. Then I moved up to 4. And so if you can do like every couple of days, that extra minute, it doesn't feel as long. And I will tell you, if you do this, there is a chance that when you get up to that 9 minutes, and this does not happen to me, it happens to me once a month, where I don't want to sit there for 9 minutes. I want to sit there for 45.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild, but it's not, I would never say sit there for 45 minutes every day. People would be like, I hate this woman. That's too long. And it's not necessarily, I think it could be too long if you're not somebody that's ready for that. Um,
Yeah, I did a meditation certification course a number of years back, and what all you did was you set for, again, you started off with a small amount of time, and when you're done, you wrote down your thoughts. What were you seeing? What were you thinking? And then you add time to it until you get up to, I think it was like 30 minutes, where you're
Wow.
just sitting there in quiet. And again, once you get to a certain point, if you don't hear the alarm going off, if no one's smacking you upside the head, you could stay there for a long, long time, and
Mhm.
you're nirvana because there's nothing bothering you as long as you control the whole idea is to sit on the side of a hill and watch the cars go by. And the cars are thoughts, right? We have 70,000 thoughts on average every day. Uh, we can't deal with all 70,000. We have the processing power to deal with it, but we don't have the conscious power to deal with it. So that was a very, very interesting experience. Today I would probably struggle with 9 minutes, but I'm going to challenge myself when I get off the call to see how long I can set, because it's been a while. I do meditate, but not in the manner in which I was certified. Uh, so how do you help your clients develop a mindset that fosters both business growth and personal health?
So we talk, one of the first calls we have is a diagnostic, and I say a long assessment. It's an hour. And I ask a lot of questions, and they're actually about the business. But then we also bring in the physical aspects about what they're eating, how they're sleeping. And we also talk about personal relationships. How are those doing? And I would say the majority of my clients start out with, oh, wow, she's going really deep with this. Like, we're talking about friendship. And I hired her to work on my business. Like, this is strange. But like I said, it's all connected. So it's really interesting when we start to see these shifts, it opens people up. I know you're a big health guy in terms of fitness and nutrition. And I will tell you, when someone makes a positive change, they want more. So when they start to see results, I should say, so they make a change, it could be how they eat. And all of a sudden they start to see those changes and they're like, what if I added fitness, right? Or maybe they come to fitness first and then they add the nutrition. It's exactly the same in their business. They open the door. I like to think of most of the businesses I work with, I joke that their business is a haunted house that they're afraid to go in. And so they just avoid all the problems, which makes it even scarier, right? So the first thing we do is walk in the haunted house and open all the doors. And we walk into the first room and we deal with those problems that are never as scary as they think. Plus, they've got me. And then they're now pulling me to go like run through all the rooms and fix everything. So there's this momentum that happens. And typically within that, I'm like, what are you eating? What are you doing for lunch? What's something that you could shift in your day? How much water are you drinking? That's huge. Just make that small shift this week. And because, like I said, they're seeing momentum in other places, why not? Right? This is another hack. So it's really exciting to watch.
So what I'm hearing you say is you employ the compound effect.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people don't understand what the compound effect is. Small micro changes over time, right? You build a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
Right?
My dad used to say that one of the, what is it, like the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like we all know what compound interest is. You can be on the good side of compound interest, or you can be on the bad side of compound interest. And that's the same with your health and your habits.
Yeah.
And they all snowball. It's like either death by a thousand paper cuts, or I just do these small things and somehow I'm like magically in shape and feeling really good. It's really great. Yes, the compound effect is magic.
Yeah. So let's talk about stress a little bit more. So in your in your history, in your experience, how does stress impact business decisions?
Oh, so stress is a very scary, important thing. So that's a really odd statement to make, scary and important. So if you and I had zero stress, which for some reason people think we need that, zero stress, we would actually not function. Your body needs a level of stress to repair itself, to actually work properly. One of the great things about exercise is it adds a little bit of stress, but it's good stress, depending on, like you're saying earlier, that CrossFit where you're a little bit that's too much stress. Well, work stress is the same. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a tight deadline periodically. There's absolutely nothing wrong with adding, like pushing yourself a little bit in terms of, ooh, this is a bigger client than I've worked with before, I've served before. I know I can do it. There's a little bit of stress there, and that is so healthy for your body. The problem is that we are stress junkies and we are living in this fight or flight state the majority of the time. The biggest problem with living there all the time is what happens in your brain. And the limbic system, which is where all of your emotions are housed, actually the cause and effect part of your brain, when cortisol is pumping through your veins, shuts down. So logic shuts down, which, by the way, if I was being chased by a bear, awesome. I don't need logic. I know I got to run away from the bear. I have yet to be chased by a bear. I don't know. I'm in my 40s. It hasn't happened yet. I'm guessing it probably won't. I don't know.
Life is you're still young. There's
Yeah,
still
it could still happen, right? So a long time ago, that stress made sense. Shut down the logical part of your brain, just run away. Now, let's take this into a work environment. My boss has just yelled at me, or my client has just yelled at me. The business is falling apart. We have tons of clients asking for their money back. I have somebody that's my right-hand man that just came into my office and wants to quit because they hate their job. I am now in a really bad, stressful place. The logical part of my brain is shut down. That sounds really awful, right? I just told you all these things that are happening that need critical thinking and care, and the logical part of your brain is shut down. That is so dangerous. And so we have to bite size address all of those pieces. And that's the other thing that I do. I have a background in supply chain, so every single thing is connected. And what I like to do first is go upstream to see what is the biggest problem and break that down, because that will actually eliminate that stress. But the stress itself, if it continues, you're going to make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision because of where your brain is. And it's actually, your brain thinks you're not safe. And so it's just going to keep you there. And I see so many businesses failing because they can't get out of that brain state. And so that to me is incredibly important. And that's where I take all of it. I listen to it. It's so important to get it out and talk through it. And I take the stress, and then we start checking off the boxes of, all right, what's the biggest thing? Let's get that out of the way, because it's going to knock out so much of the stress that's in your life, so that you and I can truly focus and logically and methodically go through what other changes we need to make.
Yeah, most people in my experience live in the survival mode. Right. Never, I mean, everybody talks about fight or flight. Nobody talks about rest and digest. A lot of people, what is that? And that's, again, as you said, stress is good. It strengthens the immune system, number one, right? But you need time out of it to just recover, because today all we live in is we go from stressor to stressor to stressor, and never achieve that rest and digest. So, yeah, unfortunately, most people that I'm not in corporate America anymore, but that's where they lived, was the stress response and the survival mode. So what advice would you give to a small business owner who's struggling to maintain their energy and focus?
So I would first and foremost say, for just a couple days, write down where you're spending your time. Another great thing to do is review last week's calendar, because the week is done. I do this every Sunday, by the way. Where did you go? What did you spend your time on? Because, I think you've probably heard success leaves clues. Well, stress leaves clues too.
Right.
And you can look at your previous week, and reflection is so important. And say, how did I feel? Like, maybe you had 30 meetings, and I've worked with people that this is the case, right? And so they're like, on Friday, all I wanted to do was, drink heavily and binge, Netflix or something. So one of the first things we should look at as a business owner, if you are stressed, do an autopsy on last week. And you can start with one of two things. You can start with what you ate and how you felt, or what you were doing and how you felt, meaning the meetings and all of that. In my mind, it doesn't matter where you start. You can start with your fitness, your health and what you're eating, your nutrition, or you can start with your business practices because, like I said, they're all connected and you'll end up improving all of it if you're open to what you find.
Okay, well, I don't have any more questions for you. Uh, so anything else you'd like to add to the end of the show here?
Well, I just really love everything that you represent and how much you care about the brain gut and how I feel like it's so interesting to me that you were mentioning earlier that, you know, you were on the cut. I feel like you were on the cutting edge of, fitness and the importance of it. Um, I just love that you have this forum because I think more and more people are understanding the power of the brain gut connection. And I just want to thank you for having me on this show and offering such an amazing platform for people to learn about something that I'm shocked that we're just figuring out. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you mentioned my bleeding edge. That's been my life. I went paleo 17 years ago, and at that point in time, it was just a blip, right? I would go to my coffee shop. I would invite people to come in and listen to my spiel, and I wasn't selling anything. I was just trying to improve people's diets,
Mhm.
and no one changed. I was wacky tobacky. This guy's a nutcase. I did something called brainwave optimization, where you align the brain waves. And my mother-in-law at the time, lifetime migraine sufferer, tell you how many times she would travel from Detroit and then come to arrive in Chicago, spend the 2 3 days in bed because her migraine was so bad. I put her in the chair and she was migraine free for 3 years. And then when she started getting back, put her back in the chair. And as far as I know today, she's not suffering. Or she's my ex-mother-in-law now, so my outlaw. Yeah, and back then it was like again wacky tobacco. And today there's so many brain hacks out there, brainwave hacks that the binaural beats you can find on YouTube, etc. And so I think you're also a leading edge business coaches, the ones I've talked to, all about finances, finances, finances. And they're the ones who are sitting across the table from you who are grossly overweight, who don't have a clue, can't breathe, older, mainly guys. And so let me ask another question. What's your breakup, men to women, in your client base? More women than men?
Oh, that's so interesting that you ask that because when I started this, it was about 50-50. And now it's about 80-20. And 80% of the people I work with are men.
Oh,
And
really? Wow, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was in supply chain for 15 years in the corporate world. I have an older brother who had, I don't know, 10 best friends. So my house was always full of guys. And so I've always been very comfortable in that space. And it made me really excited to be working with so many business owners that are male because their life expectancy is so much shorter than females. And it's because of a lot of these things. And so it's really fascinating to watch. I also think sometimes it's easier for a male business owner to hear things from a female coach. I've also heard many female business owners say that they like a male coach for the same reason. There's a polarity there that I
Sure.
think works very well. And so I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, my audience is 80% female. And speaking from a male perspective,
Mhm.
guys don't want to ask for help, at least not from me.
Mhm.
It's always curious to see how people's marketing or their segmentation breaks down, because I think what I have to offer, just like what you have to offer, is gender non-specific, right? Uh,
Mhm.
everybody could use your help if they're a business owner, unless they're wildly successful. And then, I'm sure they don't feel like they need anybody's help, though.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned this because some wives have brought their husbands to me. So they caught on, they understood, and then they were like, why don't you have this talk with this person? You and I talked about this earlier that I believe women are the neck of our society, meaning they can turn the heads of more people in thinking and believing. And I believe that women in general are the teachers and the nurturers just naturally. And I think that they have the ability to turn how we believe as a society. So for any woman that's listening, if you're a business owner, we could definitely work together for sure. But if you're a wife or a mother of someone that has a business, please share this. You are the neck for that person to change their views and their health and save their life potentially.
I like that. That's a slogan.
Yeah.
Be the neck turner. Be the
Yeah.
head turner. Be the head turner. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, if you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, for any business owner that's curious about this, or anybody really, you don't have to be a business owner. It's just a little bit easier if you're a business owner. If you are curious with maybe what you're struggling with in your business, because we talked about this, and like I said, that example that I gave earlier of somebody quitting on you, customers yelling at you. That is a real life scenario that actually happened with one of my clients. All of those things were happening at one time. And when that happens, sometimes it's hard to know, what should I focus on? What is the thing? And so I've actually created a diagnostic for you. It's 8 questions. It's very simple because I all know we don't have a lot of time in life. And so if you go to my website, it's Emily Hawkins for you, the number 4, the letter u.com/performance. You can take this 8-question diagnostic and it will share with you what areas of your business you should focus on first. That will actually be what I was talking about before, those big rocks, those big stressors that once removed will actually fix a lot of the things. And you don't even have to work with me because I actually give you a report. And in that report, I give you 3 specific shifts that you can change in your business today that will help you along the way.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Emily. I appreciate you. I'm happy that we connected, and I'm glad that you were able to show up here and be on the show. So unless you have anything else, we'll say goodbye to our audience. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be in touch with you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now. If you'd like to reach out to Emily Hawkins, founder of LeaderSHIFT, you can do so at www.emilyhawkins4u.com. Email her at emily.hawkins@emilyhawkins4, again the number, u.com.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Brain Gut Connection podcast. Stay connected with us directly through www.braingutconnect.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at Brain Gut Connection and YouTube. If you would like to speak with us, please send us an email to dave@braingutconnect.com. And as always, thank you for listening. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Until next time, stay happy, healthy, and educated.